on day 2 because I got busy. Really busy. I worked till 1 a.m. and I've been working. I worked from 8 a.m. to 1 a.m. yesterday, so lots of work trying to find some more technicians. And yeah. Also, I attempted to look up a full teardown just because I didn't want to do excessive teardown, but I can't find anything available except for like iFixit's video, and it's not, they don't show you everything like taking this out and whatnot. So my video is going to actually show all the details. Anyway, so we're going to continue to take this apart, and it did give me a helpful hint that we may have to just take all these screws out. So that's the hint that I seen, but I was hoping to not have to go about that whole entire thing, but no such luck. See, all these screws being disorganized is going to make my life a chaotic problem, but it is what it is. Gotta deal with it. These are all 00 screws that I can see here so far. Just using grip tools. All these tools and parts are going to be linked in the description. If you do purchase down there, it's going to help. If you want to mail in your device, you can. If you find it too difficult to do, just removing some of the old adhesive will definitely replace that. All right, let's see here. I already removed that screw down there from yesterday. This is a little bit glued on, so we're just carefully lifting this up. No clue what's going to be underneath here yet. Aha! That's where the magic screws are. It's under the tape. We may have not had to remove those. Let's bend our bracket back. I have a sneaky suspicion we didn't need to remove that plate. Yep, we didn't. This plate can go back on, which I'm going to do right now. So this is why you should watch the videos before doing anything. This seems to have to come up anyways though, just because it's attached to the board. So that's definitely going to be a thing. Not sure about these two screws yet. You want to go ahead and turn on your heat pad and get that warmed up. As the motherboard on most iPads are glued down, I'm pretty sure this one's going to be glued down. Go ahead and lift this tape out of the way. See right here, see how this is modular and we can plug in the battery? Right here, where it connects to the board, could just be a connector, Apple. But they decided to say, we know these go out, so we hope it does, because we want you to buy a new one. That is basically what is Apple saying there. Sad but true. They made it more modular and easier. We wouldn't have to do that. It's really in there, so try not to break the wires here. Very careful pulling that out. Well, this thing's already broken, so we can just try to rip it out. See what happens. We may have to move this. That's what I'm concerned about right now. We can jam it through the charge port hole, and then it should be able to just stick it back in. Let's see here. Yep, that works. So this will probably be my entry point right here for lifting the board, and then hopefully we don't have any other resistance. We already got all the cables loose that we can find. Oh, you know, we got a couple more down here. We want to get this a little bit hotter than hot to the than warm to the touch. We want more hot to the touch. So I'm gonna put that iPad right there on the heater, and we're gonna wait for it to warm it up. I already have it on maximum temperature, which is around 100 to 120 degrees Celsius, so it'll get nice and warm pretty fast. Just remember, you don't want that temperature when dealing with the screens. So while that's going on, we can actually start pulling off the adhesive off the screen because we need to replace it. If you just stick on the screen and warm up the glue, that's possible, but it's just not going to be a great placement. You do want to be careful not to scrape the glass, as it will come through on the other side. So just use plastic tools when pulling this up, fingers, etc. If your screen's cracked, then don't even do this. Just either replace your screen or not. But I'm also going to include the glass and LCD into the title because you don't have to pull out the whole motherboard. You just pull out the screen, unplug the battery, put a new screen on, glue it down. So this video can really just do just about for anybody, except for the battery, which we're not replacing that today. But if you do, I'd recommend using an iPlastix tool and just dig underneath the battery when it's heated. If it's still giving you some resistance, use some alcohol, isopropyl 99%. Preferred 99, but you can use 91. So there's some leftover residue, but it's nothing thick sitting there, so that's fine. Okay, so now that we got it nice and warm, hot to the touch, we're gonna go ahead and pull out the board. Be really careful, because it does need to be nice and hot, as there's gonna be a lot of glue underneath. So I recommend trying to get your tool along the side here. There we go. Just run along the side here. Okay, now this is the second time I've pulled this apart. Just to let you know, there's a bunch of adhesive right here, so make sure it gets it nice and hot, guys. All right, now for the microsoldering part. Go ahead and just remove some old tape here. I think. There we go. Being a little stubborn. I just max out my soldering iron every time I work on it. I'm just using well, I'll show you. That's what I'm using. So, and then just a regular old tip. Doesn't really matter too much on the tip. I like the fatter tip because it'll work better. Get your sponge wet. Make sure you have some stuff to clean your tip. Don't ask me what that thing's called. I can't remember at the moment. Brass braid? I don't know. You're gonna need flux. And some lead solder. I just have solder paste at the moment. That's all I got. Make sure your tip is nice and clean from previous times. All right, looking really clean. Just going to just get this a little bit of hot. Not too much. And all right, so we are going to set it right on this corner and zoom in, guys. I'll try not to move it further past that. So put some lead solder on it, or solder paste. I got solder paste here, works good. Same thing. Take our hot tip. I'm just going to make all those nice and shiny. I want you guys to zoom in as close as you can. Punch in. Apologize if I get my head in the way. So here. That is about where my head is in the way. And then right here. So I can do this without having to really worry about nothing. Okay, now that you got lead solder on there, now you can use your heat gun or your soldering iron. I just used my heat gun. 425 at 50. Same thing I'm using for the other stuff that I'm doing for glass repair. I'm a little bit on a short leash, so I have to pull this forward more. So I'm just gonna pull up on, you know what? Let's do this. Let's not melt my pad. That would be a bad thing. Almost there, gotta get gloves on. Burn myself. Okay, came up nice and smooth. Okay, next is that we want to clean this up a little bit more. Let's get some flux on it. Get some smoke coming. Nice and clean. Alright, clean our tip. Get some alcohol on a rag. Let's go ahead and clean up after ourselves a little bit. Try and clean away the old flux. And we got that new lead solder there, so that's good. All right, now we're gonna get our brand new one here. You gotta figure out the orientation. Motherboard goes in this way, connection goes in this way. Okay, just put a small amount of flux right here. Let's get that now. Spread that around. Okay, we got our hot iron ready to go. Nice and clean. Let's see if we can get this to come through. So there's two alignment pins, which I'll point out here real quick. Right here. And then right here. It's also, if you look at this, there's 1 and 2 there. Okay. I'll do my best not to get in the way. So just got a little bit of soldered on there. I'm gonna check the alignment here. What I can tell, it looks fine. Use some tweezers to hold it down while we do this. Oh, I'm totally getting out of camera. I feel like we need a little bit more flux, possibly a little bit more solder, but really hoping not. I don't have the best tip here for this, but I like the fat tips. I have to switch though if it's going to keep on any issues. Okay, now we can actually look at my camera and see if it'll let me focus here. It's the best my camera will let me do. What I can tell is it looks all very well connected, which is the most important thing. And there's very little solder, so that way we know it made a solid connection. Another thing you can do is to come through here and hold down the tweezers and press down if you feel like it's coming up at all. From what I can tell though, it looks really well soldered. Make it more shinier if I wanted to, but I don't want to make it too loose. I want to make sure that every one of those connections are connected, and that's why I did what I did. Alcohol. Looks good. Get some captain's tape out. You don't want that touching the metal. Or the original tape if you somehow preserved it. Just cutting some captain's tape. They come in rolls like this or smaller rolls. Okay, that's done. Let's put this stuff back. There's one piece of adhesive here that's left on the board. We'll go ahead and remove it away if I need to. Lift the motherboard will be easy. Just so excessive. It's like, why Apple? Why did you need to lock down this board so tightly? Because as soon as you start working on it, if you're not careful, you can break it, bend it too much. Cause failure, that's why. All right, all the adhesive is removed. And stick this down. Getting these little pieces around charge port is fairly difficult. Jeez. Careful with them, they are delicate. Look at that, the screw fell off. Of course. A little post right here that fits right through. Okay, so we're just gonna go ahead and get all these clips clipped in. Maybe. It's always fun to push back some of these cables. You really don't need the antenna connected yet. It's not going to decide if it turns on or off. I'm not even sure if we need these connected yet. These are speakers and Wi-Fi, so we're not going to connect them quite yet. But what we can do let's go ahead and put down a couple screws. So when we plug in, it's not going to move too much. That might be too long. Since I got all the screws mixed up from yesterday, it's kind of a guessing game what screw belongs where. Okay. Okay, before we plug in our cable, we're going to go ahead and plug in our screen. Obviously you want to make sure you do this correctly, everything, or you're not going to have no display. You think it's something else. So just make sure your cables are really connected here. I make these at all hard to connect. No, not at all. It's so easy. Golly. That's the digitizer, it looks like, those two. And you got the LCD cable. Should feel a full click in there. Line up your screw holes there. You can see it plug in. Okay, preferably do a control test. Like take an iPhone and make sure it plugs in. Oh, geez, my cable's not even working. That's great. Who knows? Okay. Well, I know my other cables are working, so we're just going to take our iPhone connector here. Okay. And let's pull off another iPad here. So I know this was working, was just charging it for that customer. Still having issues here. There we go. These magnetic cables are kind of tricky. Okay, so I'm satisfied that's working. Okay, we see a charge light here. That's another reason why I like these ones. Show that it's charging, and hey, we fixed the charge port. Talk about some pressure. I don't do a lot of microsoldering work on here. There are much better people out there that can do really good stuff. If you need some more advanced stuff or you messed up, don't send it to me. I'll have you send it to Jesse Cruz. There's also Louis Rosman. There's also iPad Rehab. I don't remember her name. I apologize if you're watching this. It's charging. We're going to make sure we go above 72%. These magnetic cables I will link in the description too. They're pretty awesome. My power button's not working. I don't know why. What did I do to the power button? Did I clip it in right? Oh yeah, it got disconnected. There you go. 73%. As you guys can see. So we are a success. Okay, so I know this is a long video and I apologize guys for that. I am going to go ahead and put it all together, but I'm going to do that on part 3. So part 1 was all about just tearing it down and getting the screen off and getting it ready for the motherboard to remove. Part 2 was all about removing the motherboard and desoldering and resoldering, which we just did. And part 3 will be the completion where we put it together. So I hope you guys like the separation of parts, because these videos are just so long and detailed that some people need all 3 parts and some people don't. But we'll link part 1 and part 2 and part 3 all up in the descriptions and down below and all that good stuff. So thanks for watching, guys, and look out for part 3. Thanks.